Well, hello, good evening, good evening. It's Wednesday night. We are back. I'm Sam. If you've never watched me before, my name is Sam Sansalone, and I love talking about Hampton Roads, Virginia Beach, Chesapeake, Williamsburg, all this whole area, how to buy a house here, how to sell a house here, how to relocate here. I do a lot of help with people who do relocate to the area, and I love helping people move here for the first time because I love it here. And I like to be able to spread all my enthusiasm to people that are moving here for the first time because I think it's so great. I think it's such a great area. And if you live here, I hope you agree with me. Not everybody does. And that's okay too. And that's why I also try and tell you about why you might not like this area, because the reality is, just like every area, even though there are some amazing reasons to move here, there are also some reasons why I personally don't think it's for everybody. And so I try and always give that balanced approach whenever I'm making a point or conversing about whatever about this area, because uh, you can see something often from many different angles. And I try to be able to do that to help you determine for yourself what you want to do. I think that's a very important thing to be able to give, because again, I grew up here. I love it here. So Chris, hey Chris, good to see you. Good to see you. Um, I hope you enjoy you enjoyed your trip, and nice talking to you. Derek, good evening, Sam. Good to see you again. Watching from Hampton. Yeah. Hey, Derek. Nice to talk to you too. I was just in Hampton yesterday and beating the traffic, and boy, was that fun. If you have any questions about traffic, let me know. KG, I think the last time I asked you about Kevin Garnett, I'm assuming not because of the New York Giants, but hey, I always want to bring it up. KG, you never know. KG, nice to see you tonight also. So tonight we're going to be talking about a couple of things. One of which is, hey, Deborah. Deborah, I live in Northern Virginia, currently away in NYC. Awesome. So Northern Virginia, we're getting close to the DC area itself. My dad grew up in DC, so I'm always curious. Whenever I hear Northern Virginia, whenever I hear DC, and whenever I hear Northern or Southern Maryland and Bethesda and all that, Rockville, I always ask questions. Where? Anyway, hey, I'd like to know your opinion out of control building and luxury apartments in Virginia Beach. Great question. I will make sure and add to that here in a second. I want to just give a preliminary kind of a preview as to what I want to talk about this evening, and as well as answer your questions tonight, because there are some very interesting things I found just from watching how the market has changed in the last few days. It's funny. It's sometimes opinions take some time to crystallize because you don't really know if the opinion that you have or hypothesis you have, if I'm going to get all scientific, is real. It's hard to tell if it's real because sometimes it takes time to figure it out and time to determine if what you're sensing is real. So about a few weeks ago, yeah, about a month ago, I noticed, and let me know where you're watching from, by the way. I think it's always interesting. I'd love to give context based on wherever anybody is from. I'd love to do that. So um, early June, I noticed a change in the market, and the real estate market here, not the supermarket. What did I say? I noticed a change in the market early June, and the what usually happens in the market here. And I say here, I mean, I'm talking in general. I'm talking about Hampton Roads, which means anywhere from Virginia Beach, the line between Virginia and North Carolina, all the way up through the Williamsburg area, Tab, Yorktown, James City County, up through Providence Forge, all through that area, the general Hampton Roads area. Typically, the busiest time of year for listings and sales is going to be anywhere from usually March, April, May, and June. June, you'll start seeing a shift from more purchases to less until you get past the end of the school season and the start of, I would call it, the vacation summer season, because some people just don't want to travel or don't want to move during the traveling season, if you will, like because it's vacation time, schools, all that. Hey, Jimmy Poe, I'm from California. Awesome. How's the market in Virginia? I'm going to try my best to tell you. So in June, I usually expect it's a very busy month as a general rule, but you start seeing a little bit of a shift into the July, where you have people that didn't find the one that they wanted, the house that they wanted in June. You still see a bit in July. And then as you get into August usually just shuts down is a strong word, but it really slows down, especially once you get past the time when people aren't able to close before the school year starts. So once you get into like the first, second week of August, it gets slower as we go into the month, and then it starts picking back up a little bit actually once you get past Labor Day. Now, this year, what I noticed was the shift or the slowdown started earlier. And it almost to the point to where I was telling people, and I think other people in the business, I think agree with me. I even talked to someone in North Carolina that felt the same way. It's almost like all the buyers in the area were on a group chat, and they all decided on June 4th, whatever, stop buying, don't do anything. And they all just agreed at the same time because it was like the market just slowed down so fast, um, to the point to where you wondered if something bigger was going on, and there are things like, for example, the national economy, the national questions, lots of news happening, flying around with national news stories. I totally get that. Oftentimes, this area is often not as affected by that. A lot of it's because there are a lot of people that have to move, as opposed to want to move, and the have to move still kind of take a lot of precedence. But it just seems very unnatural for how slow the market got so fast. So it's almost like, okay, what is this? So it could be an adjustment. I looked at some of the numbers back in March, April, and I looked and thought, okay, some of it could actually have been because people were making earlier purchase decisions, whether it be for anticipation of something else to come or something. But it looked like, based on the numbers, it looked like, okay, maybe it was just an early move period for a lot of people. But it was too early to tell because there wasn't enough time to go by. Hey, Bill, good to see you. Yes, you're coming soon. That is so fun. I'm going to be helping you get going with some spots and neighborhoods in the area around where we've been talking about. So, sorry, where am I going? There we go. So, so that was then. And I watched things happen from June into the second week of June, third week of June, heading towards July 4th. And I thought, okay, well, July 4th, hey, John from Minnesota. Awesome. Good to talk to you. July 4th is usually a pretty slow holiday relative to others. And again, it's going into the summer season. People go on vacations. It's warm, it's hot, whatever. And it was kind of similar, so to speak. But what I noticed right before July 4th, this time, I started getting more people contacting me that wanted to move, that had not been looking for a few years or a few months, that I even had gotten in touch with or been in contact with over the last couple of years, months. And they say, okay, now is the time. They say, okay, I think I want to move now. Now it's time. Now is the time to maybe sell. Now is the time to buy, both or both of the same people, or actually different, people wanting to buy for the first time, people wanting to sell and then buy, or just sell, all of them in that. And again, it's been like, now let's see, about 6 days ago, 5 to 6, right before July 4th. Can't believe it's almost been a week since July 4th. So hey Joyce, all these years watching you, I love it, thank you very much. It's the first time I actually watched you live. Good evening. Yeah, welcome. It's just so fun. I love doing these lives. It's so much fun. So I started seeing a change about 6 days ago. That was been last Tuesday or so, with people looking. Now, this is what's interesting to me about markets and about narratives and about, this, how people make decisions. And a lot of times things make sense to a lot of people at the same time. So the question is, okay, well, you start seeing a trend about how people start making decisions to not buy in the last 3 or 4 weeks. But the numbers, like I mentioned about 3 weeks ago in the live, the numbers didn't indicate that there was a slowdown in the demand. The inventory was low. The amount of the call it the saturation rate was low, meaning how long it would take to get rid of all the houses, like in the inventory level, how fast they would sell, all that stuff. The inventory, the amount of houses on the market was still very low. So I almost compared it to the dynamic of, you've got a lot of people, if you have 10 buyers and 10 sellers, you have 1-to-1. But let's just say, now there, over the last 3 or 4 years, there may be about 10 buyers and 10 buyers and 5 sellers. So the demand's really high, right? Let's just say it's like maybe 10 buyers and 7 sellers now. So there's still more buyers than sellers, which would imply that the demand would be very high. I'm going to try and break this down as much as I can to make sure it can be digestible in different ways. Because again, it's just a lot of conceptual stuff here. But the idea here is that there are more people that want something than there is. But then again, it's like, why are people not going after the scarce thing? Well, again, there are other things. Just because there's a scarce thing doesn't mean everybody wants that thing. And so if there are enough factors to make those people say, I don't want that thing. And I called it like a reverse, like a camel breaking the camel's back. Oh, it's the straw that broke the camel's back. Why did it take so long to say that phrase? And I'd say national stories, like especially like you watch stuff like from Phoenix and from Austin's, all those places where the market's dropping. It's not happening here in that way, but if you read the stories, you see big national stories, and you're looking like, oh, the story's coming from this place. Of course, it's dropping. Market's dropping, but that plus the rates. Plus, maybe the houses that they're seeing really aren't that great right now, but there aren't that many houses on the market. So it's like, well, it is what it is. I just don't want a house right now. There are other things involved. But my point is that there are enough factors that could make people at the same time say, no, thanks. But my theory at that time, and it was a growing theory that I think I felt was building, was all it's going to take was one or maybe two things that were initially going to keep someone from making a decision to then saying, yes, I'm ready now. For multiple people, more people to change their mind and say, yes, I want a house. So that's what I'm seeing now in the last look out. Sorry, something just fell on my desk. That's what I'm seeing now is I'm seeing a potential shift. And what I think is happening is people are noticing what I'm talking about here, which is there aren't many houses on the market, but no one's buying them. So like, hey, does that mean the market's shifting? The answer could still be yes. But I'm starting to see that what this is telling me is the people that are contacting me, and this is anecdotal, but at the same time, there are enough people that are contacting me that's making me think there are people that are probably contacting other people too. They're saying, okay, I'm watching the market. It looks like it's slowing down. Now ready to go. Well, what happens now when all those people that are now contacting ready to buy all decide at the same time? Market goes up. All of a sudden, it's like, I was waiting for 4 months and I was trying to pick and choose the house I want. All of a sudden, I have 4 offers in the house I want. What happened? Those are the types of things where it's like, it's a fascinating thing comparing what one person thinks and rationalizes to what a group of people or a mass amount of people think and rationalize. A lot of times it can be similar conclusions. You can come to the same conclusions. And I think there's a chance that that's what's happening right now. And so I'm waiting to see what happens here in the next few days to the next couple of weeks. But I'm trying to encourage people, if you are seeing a house you like now, if you have watched me for any length of time, you know that I'm a big believer in buying when it's right for you. All the stuff I'm talking about tonight is it's great to know, oh, I can try and time the market. Please don't try and time the market perfectly. It is almost impossible. If it's hard. You don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. You don't know what tomorrow's payments are going to look like. You don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. So it's hard to mention unless the one thing you know more than anybody else is your personal life and what your plans are or should be to you. And that is the part of the quote unquote overarching market that I think you can take advantage of is buy when it's right for you. But it might affect you in terms of, hey, if you want to buy now, if you're ready to buy now, and I say now, I don't mean even this second, but even in the next few weeks, this could be a very interesting window between now and it could even be through the next couple of weeks. We'll see. Because again, August is a slow month. It could be a great time to buy in August. But this next few days, week or 2, 3 weeks could be very interesting, especially if rates don't go down, which people are expecting to, but who knows? Because if there is a trail of people that are all kind of rushing in at the same time, that could lead to some surprise. What just happened? Questions that happen in the next few weeks, especially if rates go down. If rates go down, we might see a bigger bump even than what I'm talking about now. So it's a very interesting time of the market right now, but I definitely think I'll show you some current news, some data from June, the new stuff from June that you see in July, because in July, you get the information from June. June, you get information from May. So now we have some new June information now that we're in July. So I'll show you that. So Joyce, remember to like and subscribe, everyone. Yeah, right. Like and subscribe. I'm so bad at telling people to like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Hit that bell. John, high inventory changes everything in my opinion. Yes, and that's what I'm about to talk about is the inventory concept. Yes. Joyce, I'm watching from New Jersey. Very cool. Thanks, Joyce. Thanks for watching. Buyers may be waiting for lower interest rates to happen. Yeah, and that's what's interesting now is that they haven't dropped, but people are trying to make that decision. I think they're seeing the lag in the last few weeks of the market, quote unquote, slowing, and whether that's locally or nationally. And that's why I'm seeing more people get interested in wanting to buy. So then beating that punch could be worth jumping on if you are ready to buy now. Again, good evening from Lakeland. Hey Kevin, good to talk to you as always. Good to see you. I'm glad you're here watching. I'm going to show you some where's the thing? Okay, I'm going to share my screen and show you the current data from June. This is pretty new. And I'm going to zoom in because this seems real small on a big screen. So got it. There we go. So market insights. So we've got in Virginia Beach, because I like to use Virginia Beach as an example, but this can be used for any city in Hampton Roads. Supply of inventory, 1.6 months on the market. Okay, what does that represent? Again, I've mentioned this many times. Is this really zoomed in too much? Let's go back out a little bit. Is that better? Yeah. So if you see here, I was talking before days on market in May, because we're looking at the data from May, talking last month in June at 1.5 months. Excuse me. Well, what happened? It changed from 1.5 to 1.6 months. Big whoop, to be honest with you. And the reason I say big whoop is because year over year from last year was 1.3 before to 1.6, which, okay, yeah, there are more houses relative to last year, or the supply has increased. But remember the way it was before 2020 or 2020, even almost close to 2021. 2018, 17, 16, 15, a typical market is like around 5 months. We're about 30+% of what you consider a typical balanced market in terms of supply of inventory. So it's all perception, guys. It feels like things have increased as far as inventory goes. It has, but relative to what? Relative to last month? Yeah. Could this be a trend? Yeah, possibly. But look at this. Look at the last 3 years. Even in 2022, when the market was really intense, in October, the highest was 2.0 months of supply. November 23, 2.1. Now, again, that was in November. And back then, the June was 1.1 in 22. June in 2023 was 0.9. So it has still increased, again, by almost 100%. But 100% increase from then is still 1.6 months of supply. So we're still in a very low supply amount of houses on the market relative to what you consider a balanced market. So that's why I'm saying there's a lot of weird stuff going on right now, but please by no means think that we are back to 2017, 2016, 2018. And the absorption rate has dropped, but relative to what? Again, since 2020, again, we're lower than we used to be, but we are still still 3 times as high of a chance of selling your house as opposed to back before 2020. So all these numbers are saying things have changed, but they're not so much, but relative to what? And we're going to go back to, I'm going to also talk about I like talking about the payments of what people are paying per month, mortgage payment estimations. The reason is because I love this because I like using the concept of when you're trying to buy a house and you say, okay, I want to buy a house that's $500,000. Well, $500,000 is X payment right now. Again, there's variance there, taxes, insurance, but the idea is that at a certain interest rate, you're going to have here's the payment. Let's just say it's $3,000, just as an example. It's not that. Talk to your loan officer, disclaimer. But let's just say that you have a condo or HOA that, maybe $100 a month. Well, that $100 a month increases your payment by $100 a month. Well, what does that mean? It means that people that are buying that they're paying $3,000 a month are now going to add that $100 and they say, okay, is it worth it for me to pay this extra $100? Because they're now looking back at their budget and saying, okay, is X house worth this extra amount of money. And there usually becomes an equilibrium as far as the amount of people that can afford X amount of dollars. They'll all make their decisions off of what they can afford. And the higher that your payment is, the payment is for the house that you want, the fewer people likely that will be able to buy that house or feel comfortable buying that house. So you notice a level here. You notice we've gotten since 2020. Okay, I'm sorry. Let me start over. So so what I try and say is if you have a condo, for example, that's $500,000 with $100 or $200 condo fee, well, that $500,000 payment plus the $200 a month for condo fees is like the equivalent of buying like a 525 house, for example, because without a condo fee, because that extra condo fee is like a 25-ish $1,000 a month mortgage payment. So it's like you're trying to compare apples to apples, right? $500,000 plus $200 condo fee is like a 525 house with no condo fee. I try and balance those out because again, it's like I'm trying to get into the shoes of the mind of people budgeting, making decisions, and saying, okay, a $500,000 house with a 250 condo fee or 200 condo fee is probably going to be about the same comparable house as what someone might be buying a 525 house for, apples to apples. And that's usually what you're competing with because it's the payment. It's the amount that people are willing to pay for a house. So that's where you balance it out. So I'm taking that concept and using it here. And you notice a trend. The mortgage estimated estimated payment for a mortgage has bumped the $3,000 a month range 4 times. They're just bumped over it 4-ish times, five, gone over 4 times in the last 2 years, 1.5 years. Before then, we were kind of ranging from like 12, 1300, 14, 1500, 1600. We're in that bounce range, but we kind of still had a range there, right? We might be finding a top or close to a range in what the buyers are willing to do. That means that let's just say that the interest rates drop 0.25%. That might make a house that's $3,000 a month all of a sudden be $228.75 or whatever. Talk to your loan officer, please. Something along those lines, right? So that, which means that if that is the case, people say, okay, well, I can afford more house now. Oh, what happens now? Prices bump up. That slight bump up because of rates. That's what happens when rates go down. Oftentimes is the payments go down, which means I can afford more house, which means the demand goes up, payments go back up, or prices can go up faster, this is why, hey, if you can buy now and get your rate locked in, maybe refinance later, it's a great idea. Hack to that, I'll tell you in a minute. I'm not trying to tease you. I'm trying to stay on my train of thought but I have a thought here. And I want to share that with you. But I just want to go back quickly and answer your questions real fast because you guys are awesome. Okay. I'm hoping you guys were listening a lot, and because if you were, I appreciate it. Really appreciate it. Which is why I don't see any additional questions. But I'll hit a pause just briefly to mention the luxury apartments question you had in Virginia Beach. So housing is needed. Okay. I consider luxury apartments akin to what people do when they build houses. Builders for a long time, I've seen the last 20, 25 years or more at this point. Goodness, because it's 2025. Houses were not, tell me the last time you saw a house or many houses that were built under 2,000 square feet or 1,800 square feet, new construction. Not much, right? Not very high. There aren't many of them. And what's the reason? Well, builders can buy a lot and not just build a house that's 1,500 square feet. They'll just double it and make it 3,000 in two floors, and boom, they can get more money for their house. They're going to try and maximize every lot that they can possibly get for as much as possible. It's a profit business. So what happens? It cuts out those small houses, 1,500 square foot houses that are new, or show me where they exist. Even townhouses or condos, for that matter. Condos, you'll see some of those, but that's pretty much it, really, right? Unless you custom build it. But again, the cost to build a small house is like, why don't I just build a bigger house? You get more equity. The game has changed, or even it's been recognized as this has been a common thread now. So the reason I say that about luxury apartments is, in my opinion, luxury apartments are prevalent because people that build and own those can make more money leasing those apartments as opposed to leasing cheaper ones. That is what it is. And if people keep saying yes to it, they will keep building them or finding ways to do it. Um, so yes, it's hard to, where does that stop? When does one find, okay, where's the balance? Okay, well, that makes it hard. And that's what can price people out of a market and say, well, I can't afford to live here anymore. That can happen a lot. So it kind of comes down to yeah, it's hard. It's hard. It's a tough thing. I think it's a, I don't want to say, oh, it's just what do you call it? Capitalism, but man, like, it's when you can build something for X and then build it a little bit more, pay a little bit more, but then make a lot more for it. Builders are like, oh, yep, sounds good to me. That's my general opinion. I think it's a lot of it, but at the same time, I think that we need housing. So I'm like, hey, I'm not an apartments lease kind of person. That's not my world. But we still need places for people to live. Anyways, but we also need houses, which is why new construction is a lot less new construction right now, and that's in Virginia Beach, Chesapeake. Suffolk has the most in the South Side, or even Williamsburg in the northern, like Toronto and that area up there in Williamsburg. That I'd say is close to Suffolk, but even Suffolk, I mean, relative to other cities in the country where you've got like Phoenix and the Austins and the Atlantas, where it's just booming, big new construction, new construction, new construction. It's not that much. There really is not a whole lot in the area, new construction wise, which it's kind of frustrating. This is what's happening to me in Northern Virginia. Way too expensive. Yeah, I mean, Northern Virginia. I get it. I get it. I totally get it. Okay, so you weren't asking. I was telling you, and then I stopped telling you, which was, what's a great way to maximize the market we have right now? Okay, we're in a unique pocket of the market. If you're buying a house now, you're like, okay, rates are too high. Okay, I get it. What if you don't want to risk the idea of rates dropping? What if rates don't drop? They might not. Who knows? The longer you're in a house, the more important the rate is, right? If you keep a house for 30 years as opposed to 2 years, you're going to be paying a whole lot more interest in 30 years, which means the lower interest rate, the better, because you're paying less interest over that time. Seems to make sense, right? So what can you do if the rate's high? Well, you can do a lot less if the market's competitive, because you got a house. You have to do what you can to get a house. But if we're in this window of time where I've been telling you about, more people that have been asking me about buying, but we're in this window of time where it's like the market slowed down a bit. Okay. Well, what if you find a house you like and now that house has been available for a little while? Maybe you can make a lower offer. Maybe you can get the house as 500,000 and down to 485 or whatever. Just got a house that we knocked off almost, I think it was, what was it, like 7, 8%, 6%. Um, yeah. Yeah, 7%, I think. Yeah. Anyway, it can happen. Or pivot. Instead of asking for more off the price, you take that and say, hey, you want to get more ability to buy down your rate. Maybe keep the price a little bit higher, make it to where they'll say yes, but also get some money to buy down your rate. That, and I'm pausing, where are the buyers from residential properties they're out from outside the area coming from? Most. Great question. I will answer that question as a very good question, and I have plenty of answers for you. But buying down that rate. So let's just say it's a 7% rate, and maybe you can get a few $1,000s, knock that down to 6.75, 6.5, whatever. Talk to your loan officer. I keep saying that because I don't want to swerve and didn't give you absolute information. And then, well, you said it was $4,000 for this. Nope. Talk to your lender, please. But by all means, buying down your rate is one of the best, to me, the best hacks right now to get the payment as low as possible, which also means less interest over time in a market that might be willing to help get you that lower rate, and also offset the risk of maybe the rates don't go down. Now, again, if the rates go down and you bought your rate down, I mean, that stinks, because then you just bought your rate down for something that you could have just refinanced later for. I get it. It's not a foolproof thing. Thank goodness. but it's a real thing. I think it's a good hack right now to get that money, because again, like if your payment at $500,000 is $4,000 a month, you can get the price down to, let's just say it's $490, and your payment's not going to be dropped in maybe $80. So it's like 3,920. But let's say you can take that $10,000 and buy your rate down like a percent. I'm again check with the loan officer, but or maybe a half a percent. What if you get a half a percent knocked off for that in concessions? That's several $100s a month. Let's just say you save $300 a month. $300 a month in mortgage is the equivalent of like almost $40,000 of mortgage. I'm sorry, $300 a month of mortgage is like the equivalent of almost like $40,000 of mortgage. It's like buying your house for 460 as opposed to 500. That's the hack. Don't always look at the sales price number. Look at the rate for how much, or the rate, but the purchase relative to the amount of interest. How much are you total are you paying over the course of X amount of years? So if you keep your house for a longer time, it maximizes the ability, your reason to do this. If you're going to buy and sell in 2 or 3 years, it may not help as much. But if you keep a house as a rental, man, this is the way to go. Sorry, I got a tickle in my nose right there. Tickle in my nose. Yes. So makes sense. Who are our buyers for Hampton Roads residential properties that are from outside the area, coming from the most from your observations? Northern Virginia, New York, somewhere else. So Nova, yes. DC, Maryland. That is a lot of people for a variety of reasons. Or New York, not necessarily just New York, but the Northeast is it can be from anywhere from Pennsylvania, Ohio. I guess it's close to Midwest, but Northeast, Pennsylvania, New York, Northern, like Massachusetts and up, like that happens. Or California. California is a big one. Ironically, Texas, that's not been even a common thing. Even as people were moving into Texas, people were still moving out and coming here sometimes. Florida. A lot of these are, again, for jobs. There are some people that don't move here out of choice from like Florida, for example. But some people that do, they do because they can be, it's a very balanced area. You don't get too hot. You don't get too cold, or you don't get too hot or cold for a prolonged period of time. You get the hot, you get the cold, but it's not extreme for very long to me. And you're also close to a lot of cities, close to a lot of family. Like I know a lot of people that come here, family in Pennsylvania, family in New York, family in South Carolina. Like I want to be within 4 hours or 5 hours drive of the South to my family there. 3 hours north is my family here, that kind of thing. The balance of wherever they can go. They don't have to drive 2 days to anywhere. They can drive 1 day to most of the places that they need to go and stay in a place that they like. And it's still pretty affordable, which, by the way, I forgot to mention this. I think it was Channel 13, ABC. I think it was a national ABC report. I need to find it. I'll put it in the next video I talk about with Virginia Beach and Chesapeake, because they ranked Virginia Beach and Chesapeake as, I think it was the most affordable cities to live in the country. Don't quote me on that, but it was like a shocking, like, oh, didn't see that coming. But yeah, I'll check on that and see if I can get accurate timing and data. If that was I think I even saw it was like George Stephanopoulos talk about it. I mean, it was like this some national, like, really? So it's a very relatively affordable place. And some people were going to say, yeah, don't tell me about affordable. This is crazy. I understand it's not, I would say, cheap, but relative to other cities that have what we have, it is very affordable still. Which is why I still think there's potentially some room to grow here in market and pricing, because it's beach. There is scarcity in beach, and that's just what we have here. We got a lot of it. So yeah, California, Colorado. Another one's Colorado. I get a lot of people that call me from Washington State, Oregon, the Northwest. So it's a blend, but I say Midwest is probably surprisingly the least. You get kind of those the west, east, north, south, the extremes, not necessarily almost as much in the middle, interestingly enough, unless it's a job transfer. So anyway, to answer your question. Can possibly find a motivated seller, especially with a fast closing. Yeah, talking about the motivated sellers right now. Yeah, I mean, I think that's happening right now. So it's a nice, even with the what I'm talking about, the more people buying or interested in the last few days, that hasn't materialized in sellers recognizing that yet. So there that shift point where it's like, oh, can I sell my house? What do I do? What do I do? And you can get the right person that can sell and wants to sell right away. Hey, very excited to be there soon. Very cool. When do you, soon, right? Yeah. When are you coming? How fast? July? August. Anyway, yeah. Glad you're coming. I like that there is still 4 seasons in the Virginia Beach area, not too hot or cold. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yes. Next week. Sorry. Yes. I'm sorry. I'm bouncing from comment to comment. Yeah. There's still 4 seasons in Virginia Beach area, not too hot or cold. Yeah. I'm a big fan of that. I mean, that's why I like it here. One of the reasons I like it here. So, yeah. So anyway, so we're 35 minutes into the process. I want to talk to you about a few neighborhoods because I'm all about talking to you about neighborhoods because a lot of people that watch, you're moving here, you're coming here. You're like, all right, what do I do? Where do I move? And I love trying to educate people about the area in detail. It's so fun. There's so many different areas and it's easy to get lost in the mix, in the sauce, right? So there are 3 neighborhoods I want to talk about that are, I've seen a trend. Maybe it's just me kind of like honing in on a certain type of house. There are certain neighborhoods that are next to popular neighborhoods, or if you hear, for example, if you hear the neighborhood like Kings Grant, that's a very popular neighborhood. Well, there are always neighborhoods near Kings Grant or next to Kings Grant that people don't pay attention to because they're not Kings Grant. Whether that's what's a good example? Mill Plantation, people know about. Malibu is one. Birchwood Gardens, a small like $400,000 neighborhood near there. What's a good example? Let's see. Asheville Park is down the southeastern section, but I'm just making this up. Estates at Munden Farms is a small neighborhood that's right down the street from Asheville Park that people don't pay attention to, didn't even know existed. Maybe not. I don't know, but there are neighborhoods near other bigger, more popular neighborhoods that get overlooked all the time. And you can find those overlooked neighborhoods in every price range, almost guaranteed. Now, sometimes those neighboring neighborhoods are neighboring because they're not the same neighborhood, which means that they may not be the same feel, which can be a drawback. So I'm not saying that every time you see a neighborhood next to the one that you like or you heard good things about, this doesn't mean all of a sudden that neighborhood is, it's just as good. You might not like it as much. But you might, or you might like it more because you might be paying less for that house down the street in a different neighborhood that is still in the same general area that you want, but it may not be the exact same spot. So some pivot options for you in 2025. How about that? Some pivot options. And so I'm going to share my screen with you. Share the screen. And I'm going to talk to you about a few different neighborhoods. 3 specifically. One of which is called, first I'm going to show you a general, let's see, let's start with, okay. Some people have talked to me about Salem, the Salem High School District. Well, down here is Salem. What does that even mean? Well, Salem High School District, Salem High School is right here. Okay. Well, one of the most popular neighborhoods around there is Salem Woods in the $500,000 to $600,000 price range, $650 even. So let me zoom out. So what you'll find is people focus on Salem Woods, and it's a big neighborhood all through here. But if you cross the Naven Parkway, there's another neighborhood called Bellamy Plantation. Not the neighborhood I'm talking about, but it's right here. But the one I'm talking about that blends, and it blends between Glenwood, which is a neighborhood just south of here, Rosemont Forest over here, but just to the west, to the left of Bellamy Plantation, it connects right through that street right here. What is that? Devonfield Road? Devonfield? Yeah. This right here, this is called Coventry. So if you see, let's go, I'll just drop a pin. Brompton Drive. This is Coventry. Now, Coventry, you're like, okay, well, this is fine. It is. So the point is that this neighborhood is just close to, let's zoom in back to Devonfield. And so if you go from, what do you call it? Coventry, cross over. This is it Lynn Haven? Or is this Round Hill? I think this is Round Hill. Can't remember what street this is. I think this is Round Hill. Yep, Round Hill. Cross Round Hill. And this right here is Bellamy Plantation. Okay. It's nice over here. And there's some spots around the corner that are also nice. And it kind of blends into an area that, like, if you go over to the side, in this part of Bellamy Plantation, actually, you could probably argue that this is still Coventry. But Greyfriars Chase, you see more brick on this side. It shifts over. I guess it's really once you get into to Windrush, but the brick gets over on the side and it shifts, and it is a little more expensive on that side. But all over here, you can be in the fours and fives, 480, 525 as opposed to 555 or 560, right? So in smaller houses, sometimes 18, 2,000, 2,200 square feet, 24 maybe. But you can find a nice house in here in the upper fours, low fives. Sidewalks along the sides of a lot of these streets. It's a great neighborhood, as opposed to also going across the street to Salem Woods. These are going to be in the 550 to 625 price range. And drop a quick pin over here. They're a bit bigger on the side, but again, you're noticing a difference, but it may not be big enough to say, okay, well, I'll just stay over here in Coventry. It's fine. It's right next to the daggone high school. It's right next to it. So you could, go right there. I played football it was a Thanksgiving Day morning. A bunch of friends of mine and I would go out and play football on the empty football field. I'm sorry, where is the football field? Is it on this side here? It's on this side, I think. Yeah, there it is. Is that it? Man, they redid it. That's right. Man, sorry guys. It shows you how long it's been since I played in that football field. So anyway, there's Coventry. So that's in the fours and fives, right? Randomly, you're going to hear me just say a random story from when I used to do whatever forever ago. So that's one example. Another example is I'm going to go over to the northeastern section over closer to Hilltop. Okay, so people talk about Great Neck a lot. And are you with me? Is everybody with me still? I'll answer your question. Deborah Pappas, looking at condo, 22nd Street, 5516 22nd Street, number 100. Yeah, that's like right as you get off of, that's right on the one way out of the ocean front. Have you been, do you live in the area now? Have you seen where that is? It's not a problem. It's just, you're on a one-way street going out to the interstate. It's a busy street. Anyway, number 100, I don't think that's really in a neighborhood. I guess it would be considered the oceanfront district, Old Beach, maybe. Anyway, yeah, it's technically, I guess it's in a neighborhood, but not really. Yeah, I see what you're talking about. Go back to all right. Next one is over into the Great Neck area. Great Neck has a bunch of different neighborhoods in it. As you go further north, you generally get a little bit more expensive, generally speaking, because Allenton is probably it's not the most expensive, but this waterfront property is outstanding. 1.5, 2.5, 3.5, 4 million. It's big. Now, as you go further south, you'll talk about places like Great Neck Farms, Great Neck Meadows, Southern Point, Laurel Cove, some real popular neighborhoods in the Lincoln Estates in the area in the south and central parts of Great Neck. But as you drive up to get to those neighborhoods, before you get there, here's North Great Neck Road right here. Boom. Okay, there's a neighborhood called, what's the neighborhood called? Oh, man. I just saw a house in there. Kenstock. What kind of name is Kenstock? I don't know the reason why they call it Kenstock, but it's called Kenstock. I kind of like it. Kenstock. So driving out before you get to Citrus, which is that's a good location of Citrus, by the way. Good brunch place. I said best brunch, Virginia Beach. Huh. Old Great Neck Road. You drive through here, and you're going to drive through near some townhouses, some older townhouses. But as you find yourself, you turn into the back corner here. This is Kenstock back here. So drop a pin. Single family houses, 1,800. It's actually a pitch black. There you go. You can get a house in here, sixes, maybe close to 6, 7, 775, 750. But you get a lot of houses in here in the 5s and 6s. And it's in Great Neck, but it's a very overlooked section of Great Neck. And it has there are enough, to me, houses in here to where I'm like, I would keep this area in mind. It's nothing fancy relative to other parts of Great Neck, but you can get a nice house for the price in this section of Great Neck. Drawback is here is going to be the jet noise. As you're closer to the south part of the Oceana Naval Air Station, it's right here. You're going to hear it as right along Route 58, Virginia Beach Boulevard. You're going to hear it. So get ready for that. But if that's okay with you, you can find some houses that are up against the creek here. You'll also be potentially hearing some road noise if you get close to the side here too. So it's not, again, That's not perfect here. There's a park in there at Kenstock Park, but still, it's a nice spot for the price if you're going to be in Great Neck and want to stay under 640, 75, 650. I check out Kenstock as well. Then the next one, I actually have been doing some pros and cons in my mind about this area a lot recently, which is I need to do a neighborhood video about this one neighborhood called Castleton. I just had a conversation with someone I know about Castleton, and there's a neighboring neighborhood next to it that I think is interesting and worth talking about. But Castleton, where are we at? Nemo. Where are we at? There it is. So there's Castleton right there. So, excuse me. So, Castleton is a neighborhood like if you've ever heard of Courthouse Estates. Courthouse Estates is like a late 90s contemporary, kind of the arch windows over the garage. Frogs became a thing. It's whole like it's just a kind of a more aesthetically maintenance thing, HOA, the manicured streets with trees lining the entrance area. That's a very Courthouse Estates. Well, Castleton is a very similar type of area. You've got houses that are very close together, smaller ones in neighborhoods that are like right here. Like it's a smaller version of Courthouse Estates. There's like 8 or 9, or if not more, different neighborhoods in Courthouse Estates. There are several here, but there aren't as many. So you got 1, 2, is it 6? I think it's like 6, 3, 4, 5, 6 different neighborhoods, if not more. I guess 7 in Courthouse in Castleton. But you can see if I drop a pin, you'll see that these houses closer together, talking 550, closer to 6, 575, 625. You can get them higher, getting into the 7s, 750, especially as you go out into the side here over towards, we're going to use, let's just do right here. See that the yards are a bit bit wider, more brick fronts, a little bit larger. You can just notice a little bit of a difference. It's just like an $80,000, $100,000 difference in some cases. So that's, anywhere from the upper 5s, 6 up to 7, 750, 775 is probably close to the top part of the price range in Castleton. Okay, well, you see this road here, Windy Pines Bend. Well, you drive out of the Castleton proper, if you will. You go over here, Windy Pines Bend, part of Windy Pines Bend is in the quote unquote Castleton neighborhood. This is all still Castleton over here. But eventually this road connects to this neighborhood over here, which is called Pine Ridge. This is Pine Ridge. So Pine Ridge, and you'll see a difference. So I showed you that. I showed you the other. Let's do one more on in Courthouse or in Castleton. There's Castleton. Okay. Kind of a more contemporary. But if you go over to Pine Ridge, the houses a little older, more pines. Shocker. Lots are fine, but you notice it's a little bit older, right? So the age affects the price a little bit. You'll see it's a little cheaper than Castleton, but you can get a house in Pine Ridge in the 5s, maybe in the 6s, but you rarely see them over that. So you're like 5s and like low 6s, maybe mid 6s. Still get a nice house in here. It's not the neighborhood is, again, you can see the neighborhood. I like the neighborhood in Pine Ridge. It just feels different than Castleton. I keep saying Courthouse Estates than Castleton. And so some people might say, well, I don't know if I really want it. But man, if you want to save a little bit of money, you don't mind the difference. There's a Pine Ridge sign right there. Smack dab. Congratulations. Pine Ridge you've entered Pine Ridge. If you don't mind the difference in style, get a little bit older style, you can get a nice house in Pine Ridge. And people who talks about Pine Ridge, I haven't talked about Pine Ridge. So my point too is that if you notice, zoom out of Virginia Beach, there are a lot of micro neighborhoods all through Virginia Beach. I know a lot of them, but man, there are a few. I mean, there's still some I probably wouldn't be able to tell you or remember what they're called. I can remember the Kenstock's name for goodness sakes, but there are a lot of micro neighborhoods, and finding those side neighborhoods next to the most popular one can be a nice hack to get good value in a nice house that, again, you might not have even been looking for because you didn't even know that the neighborhood existed. Pine Ridge is a great example. So, Deborah, yeah. I'm curious to know, have you seen that area, Deborah, by chance? Joyce, when I lived in Virginia Beach, I lived Chesapeake House on the bay. Okay, near the Duck Inn. Yeah, in Little Creek base. Yeah, my mom's sister, which would be my aunt, uh, got married at the Duck Inn on the gazebo, and I was the was I the best man? Yeah, I was. I was like 12. It was nice. It was sweet. She was great. We were good. We were good friends, even at my age then. Anyways, hey Sam, love your content. Thank you for all you do. You are very welcome. Visited last week, first time preparing for potential move. Very cool. Awesome. Is there anywhere in Chesapeake like Kings Grant, Great Neck areas, but no jets? Ooh, good question. Yes, there are. Sort of. Kings Grant is a very specific. It's a big area. It has the specific houses in Kings Grant. Yes. The vibe and the school kind of surrounding the area, like so Kingston High School, Kingston Elementary School. I'm not sure if you're going for a school district thing or not, but Kingston Elementary School is in the Kings Grant area, right in there. There are some spots that might be similar, not to the same degree though as what you'll find in Kings Grant. I mean, part of what I like Kings Grant is of how unique it is. When we were trying to move, we considered Kings Grant also, and so what we were trying to do is look through Kings Grant all through sections of Virginia Beach, but also consider Chesapeake for the probably the similar reasons and similar types of style houses, and King and Great Neck also, but our choice was we didn't go that far because we didn't want to go too far in Chesapeake at the time. But so Kings Grant, that's harder. To throw out some random neighborhoods though that are have some similarities of styles of houses. Wilson Heights is one. Anywhere in the Fentress area, you'll have some that might have some similarities to it. I do think Wilson Heights is a great example, which is off of Cedar Road and Battlefield Boulevard. Maybe I should just show you for in risk of taking too long going through all this. But where are we at? Cedar Road, Cedar. There it is. Wilson Heights is right here. Whoops. Where are we at? Yeah, right here. Wilson Heights, right here. So this area just south of Cedar, this is Wilson Heights right here. This whole area, it's not Kings Granty per se, but it has a lot of those same styles of houses to a certain degree. If I'm getting focused on other parts that are in like Great Neck, I wouldn't go too far down south away from the rest of Chesapeake because to me, Great Neck feels like Great Neck because it's also accessible to other things. When you're down further south in here, it kind of makes it harder. So to me, the houses that might feel the most similar are like places like Forest Lakes down in the corner here, but that's 750. And you can that's a house that's 850 probably, or 9 in Great Neck, maybe about 850, but you feel like you're kind of in the corner. Further away from there, like I would maybe Etheridge Manor doesn't have the same houses, but it has a lot of nice neighborhoods that people are the desirability is there, similar to what you find in Kings Grant or Great Neck. But again, it's not rural, but it's very suburban. Man, Las Gaviotas, down here over towards off Cedar right here. I'm really stretching and reaching here. If I can think of any more, if you're interested, again, no pressure. Send me your email address. If I think of some more, I can send them to you. But yeah, it's all about picking the best aspects of what you like in one city and saying, okay, what's the closest? And Chesapeake has some good houses and neighborhoods, but it's like, how close is it similar? And that's what's hard. You'll find places like in Kings Grant closer to other parts of Virginia Beach, like through Bellamy Manor, through Providence Road, over like through Kempsville, near Wegmans, Thalia, all through there, down through south through here, Larkspur, down towards Brigadoon, Bellamy Manor, all this stuff down here. Great areas here. That's the closest possibly. So yeah, that's not a good answer to your question, but I'm kind of verbally processing this out on the fly, but there are not a lot of places that match that. But I could find similar things to what you're saying and kind of cobble together the closest. Watching from Tampa, Florida seemed like the Virginia Beach area was more closely aligned to what we're used to. Yeah. Any tips or guidance is much appreciated. Thank you. You're very welcome. Oh yeah, to no jets. Yeah, all that area that I was talking about had no jets. There's some sneaky parts in this in the eastern part of Chesapeake that do have some jets issues with near Fentress Airfield, but that's a whole different story. Watching from oh yeah, so man, there's a lot of stuff I could say here. Um, Main thing is if you're trying to be close to a beach, make sure that you are going to use the drive to the beach enough to justify living close to the beach. And how close is close to the beach? Because you are going to pay. If you do not have to drive to the beach, you're going to have to pay. And I know you've been talking about Kings Grant and Great Neck, so you're probably not thinking in those terms. But in my mind, I would say make sure you know how valuable it is to be close to a beach. That's number one. In my mind, being accessible to as much as possible is important, like 15 minutes or less. So for me, anywhere close to 264 and 64, like anything through here in Virginia Beach side is helpful. I think Southeastern and Northeastern, I love the areas, love them, but they are a drive. If you have any reason to go to the rest of Virginia Beach or Chesapeake or Norfolk, anywhere from the rest of town, Suffolk, it is a hike, man. So only certain parts are not that bad. Like the north part of Great Neck, you can hop on this shore drive and get to other parts of town easily. South part, get to Route 58. So you have to be close to a main interstate or major road, which is another thing. Check where your major thoroughfares are, because if you're not close to one, it will take you an extra possibly 3, 4, 5, 7, 8 minutes to get to one of those places, which doesn't sound like much. But man, when you're driving 24 minutes or 26 minutes to somewhere and 8 of it is just getting out of your neighborhood, or, Cape Coral Estates is a great example of that. So to show you what I'm talking about, this right here, great neighborhood. But let's say you live right on like Niagara Way or wherever, and then you got to drive out of here. It's like 5 minutes to get to North Landing Road, or 3 or 4 minutes. Then you got to drive North Landing Road, which is a country road, to wherever else you're going. It's going to take you 10, 12 minutes to get to the closest intersection. Anyway, these are slight things, but man, because the area is so suburban and rural combined, you have a mishmash. It can really, the difference in drive from one place to another can feel drastically different and really affect how it feels to be in a certain place. So really drill down to what you want, the vibe of your commute, your setting, what it feels like to live in where you are. How important is it to be close to something? And sometimes, how does it feel to be in the house that you're in, knowing you are a certain distance away from something? A lot of people that move to Chesapeake, they don't like it because it feels like they are far from most stuff. But when I could show them on a map and say, hey, you are 16 minutes from all the things that you're thinking you're far away from, they say, okay, yeah, but it still feels like you're far. And that is so important to me. The feeling, it doesn't commute, doesn't, that's why it's like, well, it's only 16 minutes either way. Who cares? It can feel so different. And so if you feel isolated in your house and you don't want to be, or the other way around, if you feel like you're on top, people are on top of you and you don't want to be, then it might not be the right spot. That's an important thing to me to note, even through Virginia Beach, Chesapeake, Suffolk, Norfolk, Hampton, Newport, Williamsburg, Tawana, all that, Portsmouth. So definitely keep that in mind. Again, if you have more questions, please, you can email me. I'll drop here's my phone number. I've not told you that yet. Phone number there. Email address there. Lots of my names in some ways. Sam at Sam Sansalone. There's another one, Sam at samsansalone.com. You'll hopefully get used to spelling my name. It's my life is people spelling my name in weird ways. So there it is. You can email me, call me, text me, and all that stuff, and I'll answer anything else in more detail too if I'm not able to answer it as well right now. So hope that helped, Ryan. For sure. Nice houses. Yeah. You're talking about probably the neighborhoods I was talking about. Yeah, I agree with you. Can you fit this in before you go? I'm aspiring mortgage loan officer. Very cool. I still need to take the license exam. Is there an opportunity to be a successful mortgage loan officer in Hampton Roads in the next few years? Yeah, sure. I'm a believer that, hey, people have been leaving the market as the rates went up. The refinance market went down. So I'd say, yes, absolutely. It's just because there have been less loan officers in general. I know less about that because it's not my world as in depth, but man, for sure. Get in with a good company, and there are agents out there that want to find good, hardworking loan officers, No. Well, No, do you mean the house on 22nd Street? You have not been there yet. Okay, if that's the case, yeah, be curious to hear. Again, you can email me, call me again. I can give you more context. But yeah, 22nd Street is a very busy road. But hey, personal opinion there. Hey, Sam, Luis, I think I say Luis Mendez. Thank you for your content. You're very welcome. Talk a little bit about Princess Anne. I've been looking info in your videos about Princess Anne, but can't find anything. I do not want that to happen because I do talk a lot about it. I talk a lot about Princess Anne, but interestingly enough, I haven't done a video. I need to do a video specifically about Princess Anne. The reason is partly because Princess Anne is so weird. Princess Anne High School District is in a totally different part of town as Princess Anne the road or where people think Princess Anne is. Because what I've found is that Princess Anne, what people see when they see Princess Anne is they look on the map on Google Maps. It's like, oh, Princess Anne right here. Okay, well, really, Princess Anne Road, Princess Anne, that's the courthouse of Virginia Beach. Princess Anne Road is a long road. Princess Anne Road continues to go all the way to goes down, 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 down all the way down, I think to the border. Yeah. All the way to the border. This is Princess Anne Road still. Down, it changes there. Yeah, Causeway. This is Princess Anne Road, right? All the way through the most country part of town. And then it changes directions multiple times and continues all the way into Princess Anne. Where's Princess Anne? There's Norfolk. It goes into Norfolk. You're into Norfolk right now. There is Norfolk. You are now in Princess Anne. It turned. Okay, there are two Princess Annes, I guess. Well, turns into Kempsville right here. In Princess Anne Road again, there is a there it is. There it is. East Princess Anne Road right here, back in Norfolk. So it's a long road and multiple roads, right? But Princess Anne High School District, here's all the Princess Anne we've been talking about. Princess Anne High School District is right near what am I saying? Town Center. Where are we at? Floor and Decor discount. Is it right here? Right? There it is. Right? It should be right here. There it is. Princess Anne High School, right there. So the high school district encompasses a whole different area. Most people that ask me questions about Princess Anne and tell me if I'm wrong is this southeastern section down here, which I've really gotten. I mean, I'm really digging it recently. There are a lot of great neighborhoods in here, starting anywhere from the fives up to the. I mean, you're talking. You could be in the over a million range, but some pockets: Princess Anne Crossing, Princess Anne Woods, back to Courthouse Estates, Pine Ridges. I would consider down here, anywhere near Nemo Parkway, closer to that area, over towards. If you call Princess Anne over near again Asheville Park and Heritage Park, Sherwood Lakes right here. I've done individual neighborhoods in here. Like, for example, I've done Three Oaks, which is right here. I've done Sherwood Lakes, which is right there. I've also done, what's the one I'm missing? Right next to Sherwood Lakes. Heritage Greens. No. Can't remember the name of it. I love the neighborhood. It's one of my favorite neighborhoods in the neighborhood, in the area. It's right. Highgate Greens. Thank you. I was trying to Highgate Greens right here. Three Oaks right here. This whole area I love, closer to Nemo Parkway, some great school districts in like Sherwood Lakes. You got walking distance to some new restaurants, a pizza place called Shore Break, which is a local favorite. It's hard to find street or neighborhood that you can get to new up and coming shopping right in front of your neighborhood without having to go to a major road. That to me makes Sherwood Lakes a very popular place. And I think there's some appreciation increase for that. But the whole area I like. Courthouse Estates, next to that, there is Kingston Estates over here, West Neck. There's Indian River Plantation. There's a lot going on all through Princess Anne, and I love it. And you get newer houses. If you want newer houses, that's the place to be. Is all on through the southeastern portion. So I'm hoping I'm answering your questions. But I can add more info. Send me an email, call me, text me, whatever, and I can give you some more detail, or that gives me a reason to make a video more about Princess Anne as fast as I can, because I've got some on my list for sure. John, Sam, do you recommend renting first before buying in the Virginia Beach area when moving from another state? Great question. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Man, I don't want to make it. It depends. Some people that are ready to buy and can buy now, I would be in the mindset of if you can do from buy from wherever you are, I would do it just because moving twice is hard. It's also expensive, but you have to be comfortable with where you're moving. And again, like, so it's about getting the right, like, again, a lot of what I do is I build around trying to help people that are buying from a different state. So trying to take video of houses, that's a big piece of it, but doing it in a certain way and as detailed as possible. But trying to bridge that gap from where the person is to what they're trying to decide do, which is buy. It can be uncomfortable for some people, and I get that. So part of my goal is to try and help to make that feel as comfortable for people as possible, because it definitely makes it a whole lot easier to buy in one fell swoop as opposed to move and move again, if not move again. But it depends on the situation. If you got to sell your house first to be the most competitive for an offer here, sometimes it's best to sell than rent for a short time. I'm a big fan. If you have to rent, I would do a short term, anywhere from a few weeks to 3 to 6 months max. I would not do a year. And the reason is because unless you can break the lease easier, which is fine, um, especially in the winter or fall months especially, you can get a better deal, I think, in the fall months. With, again, I've talked about an hour or half an hour's worth of context of what I think is going to happen. It could happen soon in the market, but for now, in a general vacuum, the fall is a great time to rent and look for a house while you're doing that. So if you have to rent, I would say do it in the fall if possible. But I wouldn't try and prolong it for too long, because that can add up a lot and it really eats into the value you can get for a house. And that's why I'm like, if that's the case, it's helpful to be aggressive on a house as much as you can to get the house that you want if you're confident in where you're going to be moving to, as opposed to trying to rent to then buy, because you're spending all that money you could have been spending to be aggressive on the best house, and then spending it renting 10, 20, $30,000, if not more. But again, it goes back to how confident are you in the area and the house that you're looking at. And again, that's a personal preference thing. But again, I try as best I can to help bridge that gap, to help people to feel confident. But since it really depends. And sometimes I tell people to rent first. I say, hey, it's probably better just get here and then take your time. And sometimes it's fine. Again, it really depends on, and sometimes it's neighborhood preference, and some of it is too, like if you have a certain price range you're looking for, and or a certain style house you're looking for, and the chances of that house coming up is 1 out of every month or two, as opposed to 1 out of every 2 or 3 days or a week, that can change it too. How likely is what you want going to come up? And that's what I try and tell people, and try and help people with making decisions on, as far as like, what do they want, what kind of house condition, style, price that they want, and kind of figuring out, is it worth it just to get here and kind of open that search window up? Because you don't want to feel pressured to just make a decision. Deborah Pappas, could you highlight where the jet noise is? Oh, yes. Man, this is going to be it's a little bit of a marathon night tonight, guys. We're just out here doing some stuff. So I'm going to share my screen one more time about the ACU's jet noise zone map. And this is a map you can look at yourself at any point in time that highlights the jet noise zones in the area. And so share. This is, I wish, what? I should get a map of this and frame it and put it on my wall. I talk about it so much. This is the jet noise zone map. And you'll see here the different colors. The darker the colors, generally speaking, the higher the noise zone rating is. So you can see here, you can get really into the detail as far as which specific neighborhoods. So, like, for example, if I'm talking about Castleton, where's Castleton? Castleton. Yep. See, you're in, what is that, -65 to -70, I think. If I'm getting right. So if I'm guessing right, I think that's right, the middle of green. So you can see that it's in that zone. Like, okay, you're going to be hearing some stuff most likely. But if you notice the change, each zone, you're not that far away from each zone. It's like you could drive not too far and go from boom, boom, boom. Because it's all about how the jets fly, right? So you see these jet patterns. You can kind of infer what you think the patterns are going to be. So this is the place, AICUZ jet noise zone map. and you can just Google it, boom, and there it is. So it's easy to use this as a guide to help determine where you want to be close or not close to the jets. I mentioned this Fentress. This is in Chesapeake, and I mentioned like the sneaky kind of like surprise spots in Chesapeake that may have some noise over here near Fentress, over on the like kind of the southeastern part of Chesapeake. You might run into some stuff over there, some noise. So this is it. Some definitions, some information about the whole what all the definitions mean, what the whole thing means, what this all entails. So it's good. It's helpful to have when you're trying to look for a house. Deborah Pappas, Linhaven Parkway by the mall. Yes. Ships Corner, Holland Road, intersection, get jet noise constantly. Yeah, that sounds right. Ships Corner. Yeah. Yeah. Linhaven Mall. Yeah, for sure. You definitely hear it there. As you get over towards the beach, you hear it like right close to even 22nd Street. I think you might hear it near some of that over there too. It's can be kind of hit and miss depending on the time of day too. But anyways, do you have any thoughts on the College Park area? All right. So I like College Park for the price. You can get a house cheaper in College Park for, a house that's 500 in one place would be 460 in College Park. All right, some reasons as to why, but you do some research on, maybe check school district, check if you want to be in College Park in general. I like College Park a lot. I like it a lot. There are some spots that to me feel different than others in College Park. Not every part of College Park feels the same. So zooming into College Park, it's right here. Level Green, there's College Park Boulevard. So there's areas you're right next to, you're around the edge of Chesapeake. So actually, if I put in Chesapeake, you're right on the line. The line's right here. There it is. So you're right there. So there's some parts of College Park where you're right next to the interstate, which is super irritating because you can hear it over in this side over here. But going through, there's some really great, cool spots. Really, really well wooded spots. You see here. I mean, some really great. It's really great. So you're close to some apartments, close to some smaller townhouses. But you can get a lot of house for your money there. And that's often one of the common reasons is that people like it. Well wooded. It's a cheaper version of what you could find in places that have a similar style, but are going to cost like $50,000 more or more, $100,000 more in some cases. So yeah, I'd say I'm a fan, but it depends to me on preferences to where in the neighborhood I'd probably prefer over others. I have friends that grew up or lived in College Park. So anyways, answer your question. I hope so. Found a townhouse in that area for about $265. Yeah. Okay. So you lived in where my friends used to live. They moved to a bigger house in Fairfield. But yeah, that sounds about right. Right off of College Park Boulevard, probably, I think, right? Pretty happy I'm not from that area. I'm a first time buyer. Yeah. You're probably close to those tennis courts, I would imagine. Figured you'd be the best guy to get an opinion from. Well, I hope so. Yeah. And I've spent a lot of time with my friend that lived in the neighborhood there. What's the name of the neighborhood? I can't remember. There's College Park, but there's the neighborhood itself in College Park, the townhouses. I don't remember the name of, but if I saw it, I'm like, yep, there it is. It's probably Auburn Drive. Where are we at? I'm probably wasting everybody's time. Like, Sam, who cares about where your old friend used to live? I know, but I want to. There it is, right? Duquesne. Yeah, you can't get in there. It's this right here. So it's these guys. I can't get in there because of Google Maps doesn't let you, but it's right in there. Anyway, yeah. So I'm all about finding like hacks, little places that are cheaper, whether it be a hack that's $900,000 instead of $1 million or $400,000 instead of $450, whatever. I'm a big fan of finding like, where can I stretch that dollar? My mom's thinking of moving down from Massachusetts, where I'm from. And she loves your videos. Thank you. Finds it very informative. That's awesome. If you have any questions, needs help, let me know. I'm happy to help. So I think, man, I've been going for an hour and 15 minutes. So 3 weeks ago when I had those sinus problems, anybody who watched me go through those sinus issues on screen, congratulations and thank you for sticking it out because that was epic. It's a far cry. I couldn't get past 20, 25 minutes there and hacking my way through it. This time I'm ready to go. I can go for another 2 hours. Let's go, guys. Let's go. No, I'm gonna wind it down here. You guys have probably gotten a little tired of listening to me run my mouth so long. Thank you for all the information you have provided. You are very welcome, blue collar POV, Pabst blue collar, right? Anyways, you're extremely knowledgeable. Thank you. And professional. Thank you very much. I appreciate you saying that too. How has the storms been in Hampton Beach, Newport News area lately? Thank you for the info. When you say storms, you mean like just like thunderstorms, or we haven't gotten anything like hurricane stuff. We might be getting a tropical system coming through tomorrow, but tropical storms. This is a tropical system, like a low pressure system at this point. A lot of times once they come up the coast, we'll get something, and often it's Virginia Beach, Chesapeake that gets the most hit usually, and then Newport News, Hampton gets the less of it because it's, well, to show you, if you haven't seen before, hurricanes usually come, down through here off the coast, Florida, Georgia, South Carolina. They come up. Either if a system does not collide with it, it goes boom straight through Florida or straight into like Georgia, or it gets caught up into a system and then it starts moving upward, up through here, up through North Carolina, Wilmington, Morehead City, Nags Head, potentially, but up here this way, and eventually kind of curves back out. So the question is always, when will it curve? Will it curve? Does it ever curve straight through here? How much land will it hit before it gets to us? And usually by that point, again, Newport News has just an extra layer of land, New Hampton, before it gets there, before it gets to Virginia Beach, Norfolk, Chesapeake. So anyway, so the system tomorrow, I haven't even been checking the news as far as how severe it is. I have not been hearing anything. I just know it's going to rain tomorrow. If that helps you as far as like what a local thinks about what the storms look like tomorrow, so, anyway, so yeah, to be honest with you, lately, I guess we've had some rain, but not a whole lot it's been actually pretty dry the last couple of weeks, from my experience. Chris, yeah, thanks, Chris. You were a real one watching me through that. That was worse than I think I've ever had with the sinus stuff. Much love from Phillips Fam in Arizona. Very cool. Hi, Arizona. Hi. Good to see you. Thanks for watching. I hope everybody's enjoying this. And I'm so surprised my voice is still going. It's 10:17 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's the exact information I was looking for. Thank you. You're welcome. You're very welcome. Yeah. I mean, guys, it's 10:17. I don't know. You tell me. What do I do? What do you want me to say? You want me to get up and run around? I think we're done here. I said what I wanted to say. If you have any more questions about moving here, I can get into that. Again, I'll go back to phone. There's my phone number. Text. If I'm out and about, texting's easy, but I'll do my best. Phone calls, whatever. Email, which is also great. But yeah, and also my website. If you want to just look around, to be honest with you, I love my website. I need to, I guess. But most websites don't tell you as detailed information as they should, I think. So you can also go to Redfin if you're like, if I haven't set up a search with you yet, then I can do that. Let me know, and I can do that and be easy. And you can get searches, you can get houses as they hit the market. But Redfin is a great resource. That is a third-party site. I know I'm telling you going to a big bad company's site, but it tells you when a house is contingent and pending faster than I think any other of those big third-party sites like the others. I think it's probably one of the best. So if you ever have questions about if a house is on the market, you can ask me. I can tell you, or I check that out. That site too. So it'll tell you pretty easily. So I think that's it. Yeah. If you have any questions, again, send me emails, call me, text me moving forward. And until then, I'll do every week, every Wednesday. I'll be back next week. I'm not going to be doing a live, most likely next week. I'll be doing a creative video like I try to do every week. But I'll be doing lives as fast as I can, as much as I can. If you have any questions or comments or feedback about specific areas you want me to do videos about, or how to move here, some specific ideas things you need help with, let me know. You're very welcome, Derek, and you have a wonderful night as well. Deborah, Redfin seems to be the most updated. You are absolutely right. Thanks, Sam. You're welcome, Chris. Good to talk to you. Good to see you. Yep, actually, you're very welcome. You have a great week as well. KG, last live wasn't as bad as you think. We made it through. It felt, man, the switch. I wouldn't want you to switch roles, but man, It was rough. I'm glad you said that because it does make me feel better. Thanks. You're welcome, Isaiah. Good to talk to you too. And Deborah, you're welcome too. Thanks, guys. You guys are awesome. And I will see you on the next video, whether it be live or not. But I'll be doing an edited one next week about a neighborhood. Or there are a few things I want to talk about. So there are a few different videos, concepts I want to talk about soon. So we'll get into that, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a nice evening and happy July.